Okay, so here's a weird thought. What if one day you find out everyone on Earth is a part of your extended family? Yes, all 8 billion of them. Or what if no one ever connects to you? Just you with your average genetics rolling solo. This might feel like the beginning of a crazy sci-fi novel, but weirdly enough there is in fact a paradox that suggests this may be true. I know, it sounds insane. Trust me, it is. But here's the interesting part. This ancestral paradox might also hold the key to understand how we are all connected. Or not. But hey, we learn, we grow. So here we are, learning about how the ancestral paradox explains everything about humanity. It might be a bumpy ride, but we are all in this together. You know, distant cousins and all. That was a little cringe. Anyway, let's go. When you think about your family tree, you think of a square drawn lineage with you, your parents, your grandparents, and then their parents, right? But in reality, family trees aren't always neat and tidy. They overlap, cross paths, and get overly messy. And that is the essence of the paradox. The farther back you go in time, the more your ancestors are likely to share with other people's ancestors. Take this as an example. Your great-grandparents are at a family reunion and everyone just keeps showing up with the same last name. Everybody is either Mr. Anderson or Mrs. Anderson. So in the end, you are probably more connected to people than you realize. The real kicker in that paradox is that one day, the world will either be inhabited by all these Andersons or they will all just become history. God, what would the world even look like without Andersons? Not that I'm saying they'd be gone, I'm just, weighing the possibilities. The possibilities in question? You are either up for global ancestry or total extinction. It's like a 2-option quiz, no in between, no partial credits, just eternal relevance or a family tree that ends in a little sad dot. This might be a little hard to absorb in the first go. Let's break it down. Imagine all those future humans walking around and every single one of them has descended from you. That's the eternal relevance option. You win. You become a foundational ancestor. You turn into some modern-day genetic celebrity. Oh yeah, we all came from that person back in 2025 who really likes iced coffee and had mild anxiety. But then there's another possibility. The one where your genetic line just ends. No continuation, no legacy, no great anything. So, either you go big or you go extinct. Those are the rules of this paradox. Harsh? Yes. Fascinating? Also yes. Anyway, here's where it gets juicy. This one might be a hard pill to swallow, so you should probably sit down. If we are all that closely related, then your carefully curated identity might be a little less unique than you thought. Your quirks, your hobbies, that weird laugh, statistically speaking, someone else probably had it 1,000 years ago. Now, I didn't mean to put you in an identity crisis, but that's just how the world works. It's okay, buddy, life happens. This shall also serve as a reminder that all those "you are one of a kind" quotes are just bogus. You may belong to a certain kind, but there's a high likelihood that most of us belong to the same kind. Now, please snap out of that existential crisis, we don't have time for it. Prepare yourself for the next blow, also known as the legacy pressure. All of us often get asked, what would you do if you were to die tomorrow? But the real question should be, if you were to be the grandfather of all of Earth's inhabitants, what legacy would you leave behind? At first take, the question may sound hilarious, but the legacy pressure is real. Imagine the whole world stinking because you left behind the legacy of showering once a month. That would be gross, and everyone would know of your little secret to those perfect, slick-back, greasy hairstyles. Jokes apart, knowing that your future impact is either global or non-existent is the kind of pressure no one prepares you for. But don't worry, you are at the right place, and you will be told of ways to deal with it. So, first, shower daily. You don't want the world smelling like day-old laundry. Second, be kind, no matter what. Always be kind to everyone. You never know, the person next to you might turn out to be your mom's half-sister's ex-husband's new wife's son. Even if that were not the case, please be nice to people. The world needs more empathy than weird ancestral paradoxes. But why are humans so obsessed with being remembered? Why do we want to build legacies? We write books, we build pyramids, we even write our names on park benches. Some people even name stars after themselves, as if a flaming gas ball light years away is going to keep their memory alive. All for the sake of being remembered. To make sure that 500 years from now, someone will trace their fingers on the carved names and remember that we existed. This isn't even about ego, it's about leaving a mark. It's basically our emotional backup plan in case our biological lineage doesn't make it. Like, if my DNA doesn't survive, my name on this library plaque will. And the ancestral paradox supports this idea of being remembered in other ways, if not by the greatness of your genes. And this brings us to the next part, romance, but make it a little strategic. Let's be honest, we don't just fall in love. We pair off like we are building legacy empires. We care about compatibility, yes, but also about timing, place, values, and occasionally, who your parents are. Deep down, maybe we have always been subconsciously trying to increase our chances of being in everybody's ancestor category. Because love is sweet, but eternal genetic dominance? Even sweeter. Now that we have discussed romance, let's talk about inheritance. We talk about inheritance a lot, but not just in terms of money. It's about genes. It's about the traits that get passed down through generations. Like your eye color, or your mid-sentence voice cracks, or the fact that you can never find your keys. But according to the paradox, the genetic lottery is far more selective than we think. Sure, you get a piece of every ancestor's DNA, but not all of it. In fact, most of your ancestors may not even have left any genetic footprint on you at all. So down the line, one may be the product of many crosses, but the genetic makeup comes from a tiny select group of people. See? The paradox is not that weird. Plus, it also explains all our drama. Think about how much human drama comes from questions like, who's your biological father? Or which side of the family are you on? The paradox helps you put all of that into perspective as well. If we are all ending up in the same family photo eventually, maybe we could leave all those inheritance arguments behind us. The downside is you wouldn't get the tea about your secret cousins, but that's okay, you can manage brewing your own. Now let's ask the real question. What does this mean for the future? Let's fast forward. In a few thousand years, there might be a single person whose descendants include every human alive. And there's a tiny, a 0.0000001% chance that person is you. Yep, you with all your amazing traits could be the shared grandparent of the entire human population. All of your awkward moments will track back to your legacy. Kinda epic, however slightly unsettling. It can be a lot to imagine, not because it's impossible, the math actually supports it, but because it gives every little moment you live today a strange kind of historical weight. Like, did you just accidentally inspire the future global sense of humor? Did your love for pineapple on pizza become a genetic preference? Who knows? We might even have your statue somewhere. So, yeah, this is what legacy looks like when taken to the absolute max. It's not just passing down your last name or your spaghetti recipe, it's shaping humanity. No pressure, right? And now that we have learned it, it's time to zoom out and think. The ancestral paradox is kind of comforting in a weird way. Whether you're destined for greatness or nothing, it forces us to rethink how we define success, family, and impact. At the end of the day, we are all just tiny minions in a massive, ever-expanding family machine. And that's oddly reassuring because it means we are all connected, even if we don't always feel like it. So, the next time you stress over whether you are making a difference, remember, you are either going to be the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparent of everyone, or, well, you won't. Either way, it's kind of a win. What good could come out of fathering a billion children? You could simply live your life and die a peaceful death. No additional responsibilities, no legacy pressure. Ultimately, here's the deal. The future is chaotic. We have no clue whether humanity will keep spreading across the planet or if we'll collapse into a giant genetic puddle. Either way, thanks to the paradox, we know one thing for sure: we are all linked in some bizarre way. But hypothetically speaking, you were to become the ancestor, would you be the one who really matters, or the one who somehow got left out of the family group chat? The stakes are high. Think carefully and share your answers in the comments below. That was it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel and we will catch you in the next one. Hopefully with some more amazing content.